Namaste to everyone. Today we are going to have an important discussion on Hindu rain making rituals emerged from the tribal cosmology, that is, hidden tribal origins of Hindu rain rituals, from tribal cosmology to Vedic gods. Across the Indian subcontinent, rain has been never been viewed merely as a natural meteorological event. A rain has been always understood as a sacred relationship between humans, nature, and cosmos. For thousands of years, societies in India, especially tribal communities, developed elaborate rituals to invite, celebrate, and regulate rainfall. These rituals were not simply acts of superstition or blind faith. They were deeply connected to ecological observation, environmental knowledge, and social cooperation. Among the tribal communities, such as Konds of Odisha, Gonds of Central India, Bhils of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, rainmaking rituals represent a sophisticated cultural response to the uncertainty of monsoon rainfall. At the same time, classical Hindu traditions preserved in the Vedic literature speak about powerful rain deities such as Indra, Prajna, and Soma, who control rainfall and fertility. When you examine these two traditions, tribal ritual systems and Vedic cosmology, we discover something remarkable. They are not separate worlds. They are two expressions of the same ecological civilization built around the monsoon. Today, in this discussion, we explore how tribal rain ritual, Vedic symbolism, and present day Hindu practices such as homas and yajnas are historically and culturally interconnected. Let us examine the rain in the life of monsoon civilization. India is fundamentally a monsoon civilization. Agriculture, forest, rivers, animals, and human settlements all depend on the rhythm of seasonal rains. For farmers and forest dwellers, rainfall determines crop survival, forest regeneration, animal migrations, food availability, social stability. Because rainfall is uncertain, societies developed cultural systems to interact with nature. Anthropologists describe such system as a ritual ecology, ways in which societies symbolically negotiate their relationship with nature. In tribal communities, rainfall rituals often include water offers to the sky, sacred fire producing smoke rising upward, collective dances and chanting, ritual processions, offering in sacred groves. These actions symbolically represent the connection between earth and sky. In simple terms, these rituals express powerful idea. Rain occurs when cosmic balance between earth and sky is restored. Now, let us briefly examine the rain making rituals among the tribal communities of India. Based on my research experience among the 75 primitive tribes of India, I have chosen some of the tribal communities for this study. First one is Kondh of Odisha. Among the Kondh tribe of Odisha, rain rituals are performed before the agricultural season. The ritual begins with the collection of sacred water from rivers or streams. This water is then offered upward toward the sky while priests chant invocation. At the same time, ritual fires are lit. The smoke rises upward, symbolizing communication between the earth and the heavens. Among the Konds, it is observed that these rituals often occur during particular lunar phase, just before the arrival of the monsoon. This shows that tribal ritual specialists possessed deep knowledge of seasonal environmental patterns. In Kondh cosmology, rain is not something human can mechanically control. Instead, rain is understood as a cosmic reciprocity. Women must show respect to nature, forest, rivers, and ancestors. When harmony is restored, the sky responds with rain. Now let us briefly look into the Gonds of Central India. Among the Gond tribes, rain ritual are even more elaborate. They include collective dancing, drumming, singing ritual songs, offering to ancestral spirits. The entire village participates. These ceremonies often occur during the waxing phase of the moon, which is symbolically associated with growth and fertility. Ritual specialists among the gods closely observe ecological indicators such as bird behavior, insect movement, humidity levels, wind direction, cloud formation. These environmental signals help determine the correct time to perform rain rituals. Thus, what happens to be religious ritual is also a form of ecological knowledge transmission. Through ceremonies, younger generations learn to observe nature carefully. The Bhils of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh live in regions where rainfall is highly unpredictable. During drought periods, Bhils communicate organize rain invoking rituals that involve fasting, village processions, symbolic representation of clouds, immersion of sacred objects in water. These rituals help communities cope with the anxiety caused by the drought. From an anthropological perspective, such ceremonies strengthen social solidarity. When communities face environmental uncertainty together, ritual becomes a mechanism for collective resilience. Now let us look into the anthropological interpretation of rain rituals through theoretical interpretations. First, let us look into the Fraser and sympathetic magic. Fraser interpreted rain ritual as a imitative acts intended to produce desired natural effects. While such an interpretation identifies symbolic resemblance, that is, water offered upward to induce rainfall, it underestimates indigenous environmental knowledge and ritual complexity. While Meloniski argued that ritual appears where practical control is limited, in monsoon dependent agriculture, rainfall remains unpredictable despite observational expertise. Rituals that addresses essential uncertainty rather than ignorance. Professor Julian Stewart's multilinear evolution framework situates ritual within ecological adaptation. Rainmaking ceremonies coordinate agriculture calendars, regulate labor mobilization, and reaffirm collective resource management. While Roy Rapport further demonstrates that ritual regulates ecological relationship through symbiotic communication. In tribal rain ritual, the symbolic offering of water affirms community depends upon hydrological cycles. The Scottish scholar James George Fraser describes them as an example of sympathetic magic, the idea that people imitate natural process to produce desired outcome. However, later scholars offer more interpretations. The famous anthropologist Bronislaw Meloniski argued that rituals emerge particularly in situations where human beings face uncertainty. Farmers can prepare fields and plant crops, but they cannot control rainfall. Rituals help societies physiologically and socially manage this uncertainty. Now let us look into the Vedic rain gods and cosmic ecology. When we turn to ancient Hindu texts, we find similar ideas expressed in different forms. The Vedic tradition speaks of powerful deities controlling rainfall in fertility. The most important them is the Indra. In the Rig Veda, Indra is described as the heroic god of defeats the serpent Vritra, who had blocked the waters. When Indra strikes Vritra with his thumb bolt, the water are released and then falls upon the earth. This mythical symbolically represents the breaking of drought and the arrival monsoon rains. Another important Vedic deity is Prajanya. Prajanya is described in the Vedas as the god who fertilizes the earth with rain. Rainfall is compared to seed entering soil, producing crop and life. This metaphor of sky as the father and the earth as a mother is also found in tribal cosmologies. Among many tribal societies, rain is described as the marriage of sky and earth. Thus, tribal rituals, symbolism, and Vedic theology share striking similarities. Now, let us look into the aspect of Soma and the cycle of water. The mysterious Vedic deity Soma represents another dimension of rain cosmology. Soma is associated with the moon, ritual drink, cycles of regeneration. In Vedic thought, Soma rises to the heavens and later returns to earth as rain. This reflects an early understanding of hydrological cycle, water rising, transforming and returning. Interestingly, many tribal rain rituals are also timed according to the lunar phase, showing a similar awareness of cyclical natural rhythms. Now, let us connect these ancient traditions with the present day Hindu practices. In modern Hindu temples and religious traditions, special rituals are performed to invoke rainfall during drought. These include Varuna Yajna, Indra Yaga, Prajna Homa. The rain god invoked in many rituals today is Varuna, who governs oceans, rivers, and cosmic waters. During the ceremonies, sacred fire are lit, ghee and grains are offered, Vedic mantras are chanted, priests invoke the rain deities. The rising smoke of the sacrificial fire symbolically connects earth and the sky, just as the tribal rituals used smoke to represent communication with the heavens. Water is often poured to the sacred fire or offered to the vessels, symbolizing the return of water to the cosmic cycle. Thus, modern Hindu rain rituals represent a symbolic structure that resembles much older tribal practices. I have extensively worked among the Tirumala temple. In Tirumala, Sri Venkateswara temple has also occasionally organizes special Vedic rituals to invoke rainfall during periods of drought or water scarcity affecting the Tirumala hills and surrounding regions. The most important among the ceremonies is the Varuna Yagam or Varuna Japam, performed to propitiate Varuna, who in Vedic cosmology governs the cosmic waters, oceans, rivers, rain bearing clouds. The large scale performance of Varuna Japam at Tirumala also demonstrates the integration of tribal ecological traditions with Vedic ritual systems. Many tribal communities in India historically performed rain calling ceremonies through collective prayers, dances, and offering to sky or water spirits. Over centuries, these indigenous ecological practices were incorporated into the moral formalized Vedic ritual tradition, where priests recited sacred mantras and conducted Homa rituals to invoke rain. Thus, the rain invoking ceremony at Tirumala can be viewed as a continuity of ancient human attempts to negotiate environmental uncertainty through ritual action. It reflects a deep philosophical idea found in Indian thought that cosmic harmony must be maintained through ethical conduct, devotion, and ritual practice. We face serious global challenges. Climate change is disturbing monsoon patterns across South Asia. Rainfall is becoming more unpredictable. Droughts and floods are increasing. In such a context, ancient ritual traditions remind us of something important. Rain is not simply a physical event. Rain represents a relationship between humans and nature. Tribal societies understood this relationship deeply. Their ritual emphasized respect for forest, protection of water sources, communal responsibility, ecological balance. These values are urgently needed today. Now let us look into the structural convergence on differences between tribal ritual system and Vedic symbolism. In a tribal ritual system, localized sacred landscapes. In Vedic symbolism, textualized cosmic framework. Community led ceremonies, priest mediated sacrifices, lunar agriculture timings, lunar soma cosmology, water offering to sky, divine release of celestial waters. In tribal ritual system, ecological pedagogy. In Vedic symbolism, theological articulation. The differences lies primarily in scale and institutionalization. Tribal system remain embedded in specific landscapes. The Vedic symbolism universalizes rain within cosmic law. Yet both traditions encode awareness of monsoon variability, fertility metaphors, cyclical regeneration, moral dimensions of ecological balance. Before concluding, let us summarize the discussions which you have made so far. The rainmaking rituals of tribal communities reveal a profound ecological worldview. Though water offerings, sacrifice fires, lunar timings, and communal ceremonies, tribal societies expressed their dependence on the natural rhythm of monsoon. When we compare these rituals with Vedic cosmology, we see remarkable parallels. The rain gods, Indra, Prajna, Soma, and Varuna, represent symbolic expressions of the same hydrological cycles observed by tribal societies. Modern Hindu rituals such as Yajna and Homa for rainfall continues these long cultural traditions. Rather than viewing tribal traditions and the Vedic religion as a separate hierarchical, it is more accurate to see them as interconnected layers of shared monsoon civilization. Both traditions teaches us that rainfall is not merely a perception. Rain is a sacred exchange between earth, sky, and human society. And perhaps the greatest lesson that traditions offer us today is this. When humans live in harmony with nature, the cosmos responds with abundance. Rain, in this sense, is not just water, it is the blessing of ecological balance. So, anthropology teaches us that rituals are not meaningless traditions, they are cultural memory systems. The rain-making rituals of tribal communities, the rain gods of Vedic literature, and the rain-invoking homas of modern Hindu temples are all parts of a long historical dialogue between humans and the monsoon. These traditions remind us that rainfall is not merely perception fall from clouds. Rain is a sacred exchange between earth and sky. When humans respect nature, protect forest, preserve the ecological balance, the cosmos responds with abundance. In this sense, rain is not just water. Rain is the blessings of harmony between humanity and the nature world. Let me conclude this lecture with an ancient Vedic prayer of rain, which beautifully expresses the ecological wisdom of Indian civilization. Vashatu varjanno nabisi megaha prithvi sasya salini bhavatu oshadayaha pachantyam visvabhyaha sukhno bhavantu bhutani. May the rain god Prajna shower from the clouds in the sky. May the earth become rich with crops and vegetation. May the plants and herbs grow abundantly for all beings. May all living creatures live in happiness. This ancient prayer reminds us that rainfall is not merely a meteorological event. It is the foundation of life, agriculture, forest, and civilization itself. Thank you very much for your kind hearing of this discussion. I request you, please forward this link to your friends, students, scholars, and teachers. Please subscribe this channel to know more about ethnic cultures of India. Thank you. Hope we will meet you in another discussion.